morning everyone. I am Ms. Kumari Pali Devi.
Go slow because we don't know your name. Spell whole name. Announce it slowly.
Rajkumari Dipali Devi.
There you go.
Today I am going to give my presentation on Naya sources of knowledge. So first let's go on the introduction. Like Naya school was founded by Sage Gautama. It's also called as like Aksapada, School of Philosophy. And here in Naya, like is the orthodox philosophy based on Veda, and on the other hand there is a heterodox school of philosophy which doesn't accept Veda. And there we will be discussing about mainly on this knowledge, theory of knowledge, theory of physical world, theory of the individual soul, and then liberation, and lastly theory of God. But now I am going to discuss the theory of knowledge first. Okay, before going into the theory of knowledge, now we have 6 padatthas of Naya, or we can call like philosophical topics of Naya. It includes like pramana, valid means of knowledge, pramaya, objects of valid knowledge, and then samaya, doubt, and prayojana.
Samsaya.
Samsaya. And prayojana, drastanta, siddhanta, vedanta, and then tarka, avayava, members of
It's not Vedanta, Vedanta. Vedanta, right?
Okay, and then Nirnaya.
She said rightly. She pronounced it correctly. Vedanta, acha, okay.
Okay, and then Hedva Vasha, there is Feleshi, and then Jala, and then Jati, and Nirgahastana. Here will be like discussion, it's a friendly discussion between two parties. They will be discussing about what is truth and to get the truth itself. And in this Jalpa, they will be like, if it's wrong or right, they will be just getting to get their own interposition, like statements correctly. And then this Hedavasa is a fellow, she is like discussing more about an Anumana. Okay. Next, first we'll see like how this knowledge is divided. Like it is presentative knowledge, and there is another representative knowledge. In representative knowledge, we have Smriti, there is memory, and presentative knowledge we also call as Abhava. So under representative knowledge, we have this valid presentative knowledge and non-valid presentative knowledge, and they are like pramana, aprama, and aprama. So under valid presentative knowledge, there is the perception, inference, comparison, and testimony. There is prataksha, anumana, upamana, and satta. So I have already mentioned this ones, and like Naya exam only 4 pramanas of them. Like there are 6 of them. The other 2 is anupalatti and arthapatti. But Naya only has 4 of this. So there is perception, inference, and comparison, and testimony. So we will first look at perception. Okay, perception is prataksha. Literally, it's of 2 words, patti and akasha, and it means like front and in front of eyes. So literally, it says like that which is in front of our eyes. It's just a literal meaning. It's not that the only those we can see are under this one, but it is like knowledge that is obtained through our knowledge, like that knowledge we obtain through sense organs are come under this prataksha. And for example, today college is closed. We can only affirm this statement by going there, or when someone says that this that college is closed today, like that. So definite function that uses by sense or sense object and taken is true and unvaried. So it is that sense object knowledge we get, and like sense object. So we have these 2 types of like prataksha. There is jnana indriya and karma indriya. And then the first one, we have like nose for smelling things, tongue for like taste, eye for seeing things, and then skin for touch, and then ear for sound. And on the other hand, the karma indriya, we have like touch for taste, hands for lifting things, legs for moving around, and organ of excretion for excreting waste from the body. And finally, we have the sexual organ for reproduction. So classification of perception. So we have like ordinary perception and extraordinary perception. So in ordinary perception, we have external and internal, and extraordinary we have Samarya Laksana, Jnana Laksana, and Yogasa. We will look at it. So in the ordinary perception, there is Lokika, and extraordinary, there is Alokika. So first, ordinary perception, there is a usual sense contact with objects present in the sense. And it is all those like this eyes, nose, and ears, and then skin. And 5 of them are external, and 1 is internal, that is mind. And on the other hand, there is an extraordinary perception, that is an unusual sense perception. There is it's of 3 types. First is Samanya Laksana, perception of universal things like, for example, when we are perceiving that all mental model. So we don't go to each and every man and see that is he mortal or dead, but we are perceiving the generality from a particular point of view, like perceiving generally from a particular object. And next we have the Jnana Lakshana. There is when one sense organ can also perceive qualities not attributed to it. So we can take an example like this: eyes looks cold. Those coldness of that eyes we can only perceive by our touch, not by our seeing, but we can perceive it by looking at that eyes, that eyes is cold. So that kind of thing is come under this one. And last we have this Yoga that can perceive past, present, future, supernatural power generated in the mind by meditation. This can only be done by those yogis and all. There is another classification of the stages of Lokika. There is Nirvikalpaka, Savikalpa, and then last is recognition. First we will look into the Nirvikalpaka, or it is also called as indeterminate. When one just perceives an object without being able to know its future. Like when you come into a room and you just see around and saw that there is one cat in the table. You just happen to see it. But you don't know its future, this color and that. Yet you just perceive that there is one cat on the table. And on the other hand is Savikalpa, and is the determinant. Like when you clearly know that what object is, like when you know that what color of cat is, what the size and all, and that kind of detailed description about the thing, it's come under this Savikalpa. And apart from this too, we have this recognition. When one is able to recognize something on the basis of memory. Like when you have already seen that cat somewhere in the room, and when you come outside and you happen to see the cat again, and you recognize like, oh, I have seen this cat before also, but it is because of your memory that you can recognize the same cat again. So like for every Savikalpaka, there will be this Nirvikalpaka. Like this one is the giving the clear details of the object. Okay, next called inference. Like inference like Anumana, it is after knowledge also. And like it's a recognition or knowledge which follows some other knowledge. When you happen to know this knowledge, it follows with some other knowledge also. For looking for an example, like the air is fiery because it's smoke, and whatever smoke is fiery. So in this, we can see like 3 of them, that here is the minor term, fire is a major term, smoke is a middle term, and we can call it Paksa, Sadhya, and Linga. And we can also call this middle term as Hetu. So structure of Anumana. Like for this, we are having a 5-statement argument. It's called Pancha Avayavas Tarka. So in first we have the proposition. Like for example, that field has fire. It is come under the proposition. And next, the ground of that inference, like because it has smoke, it is Hetu, that middle term. And after the ground, it has the illustration, Drishtanta or Udaharana. It is also known as Vyapti, that is it will come after the invariable concomitance, but whenever there is smoke, there is fire. Because of that smoke, we are perceiving that there is fire in the hill. And after this, it's an application that Upanaya, the hill has smoke, there is invariable concomitant with the fire. So, after seeing that smoke, we are perceiving that there is fire in the hill. And last, there is a conclusion, Nigamana, therefore, like there is fire on the hill. And we have this 5, and it can also be reduced and only 3 steps differently. Like first, have the fire, the hill is fire, and because there's smoke, and we have the conclusion like there is smoke because there is fire. And on the other hand, we have like whenever there is smoke, we will be starting with the Drishtanta one. Whenever there is smoke, there will be fire. And after that, we will come to the hill smoke. There is invariable concomitant with fire. Like fire and smoke are two things that is go together. And last, the conclusion that there is fire on the hill. So two conditions of inference like combination of smoke in the hill, and another is the relation of invariable concomitance between the middle and the measure, that is the fire and the smoke. It's also called Vyapti. So let's see what is Vyapti is. Inseparable relation between Hetu and Sadhya is called Vyapti. So it is also considered as a logical ground for inference, that is for Anumana. So there are two types of Vyapti. First, like the Vyapti between term of unequal extension, like these two will have the unequal extension like fire and smoke. It means like whenever there is fire, there will be smoke. But whenever there is like whenever there is smoke, there will be fire. But whenever there is fire, it's not that there will always be smoke. It is also called as Visma Vyapti or Asama Vyapti. And on the other hand, we have this Sama Vyapti or equivalent concomitance. The one is an unequal extension and the other is having the two things in the equal extension. So, example like Namarupa, nameable and knowable. Everything which is knowable is also knowable, and everything that is knowable, it can also be knowable. So, there's comparison upamana. So it is the source of our knowledge of the relation between a word and its denotation. Like the words we are saying and what is denoting. So in this upamana it is associated with something previously known by virtue of its similarity to something that is known. So it is mainly based on our memory, like we have seen something and we will be knowing something else because of that thing. So example is Kavya and Cow. So you have already known how cow looks and what its features and all. You actually know the cow, but you haven't seen Kavya in your life. So someone tells you that Kavya is like this, it's same as cow, but it's a difference also. It's just like this. So you are perceiving that Kavya is also looking like a cow. But the same thing is like, if you already seen or know cow, then it will be easy for you or the person to perceive the Kavya. So, and when you see Kavya, you will be memorizing that you have seen the cow, and you will be seeing that Kavya like, oh, it's not that different, and it's the similarity between cow and the Kavya. So, from that, just this way of knowing the denotation of words, the words denotation, and the relation between the name and the object denoted by them. So some schools put the upamana under prataksha and anumana. Like this comparison, they don't specifically keep as like a separate pramana. So why upamana cannot be classified under prataksha? Because like for prataksha, it is mainly based on the those things which are perceiving at the moment. But for this upamana, they are like it's mainly based on memory. So whenever we are saying like perceiving a thing, it is the sense contained knowledge, it is the prataksha. But when it comes to upamana, it's not about the sense object content, but it's mainly based on the memory. So it can't be put under. And then one upamana cannot be classified under anumana. So anumana is based on the vyapti, there is invariable concomitance between the fire and the smoke. So under this upamana, they don't have this vyapti and all. All they do is like it's based on memory, and at that same time they are not perceiving cow, but they are only they are only remembering the features of cow and perceiving the Kavya itself. So next, verbal testimony. It is a knowledge of object derived from words or sentence. A verbal testimony is valid when it comes from a person who knows the truth and speaks the truth. So it is based on like what the person is saying about and the trustworthy, is the person trustworthy, or can we trust? It's all based on that people's like the truth. And according to Naya, the Vedas are the valid source of supersensible or extra empirical knowledge because their author is the all-knowing God. So according to Naya, it is like valid source of knowledge because it's the author that is the all-knowing God. And subject can be of Drishtanta, those. So we have two types of verbal testimony: Drishtanta and Adrishtanta. So in this two, like first we will like the Drishtanta, knowledge of such a word which is related to the object that can be perceived. So in this one, they will be talking about things which can be perceived by us, those objects. For example, table, chair, phone, pen, and all. And on the other hand, there is a Drishtanta, knowledge of such a word which is related to the object that cannot be perceived. One is perceivable and another is non-perceivable. So example like God, freedom, immortality, that kind of thing comes under this one. So another classification we have like Vaidika Sabda and Laukika Sabda. Vaidika means that Vedic testimony, and Laukika Sabda is worldly testimony. So it is based on the authority and reliability of the source of testimony. So Vaidika testimony, Sabda. It sounds like the Veda and the authoritative text, it's authority like highest, considered infallible, and then his covered metaphysics and spiritual truths. And on Laukika, it is like resources including like ordinary people also, non-Vedic, it's not the Veda, it's non-Vedic and it's including ordinary people also like you and me. And authority secondary to Vedic testimony, like primary one is with the Vedika, and this Laukika comes in as secondary. And it's called like applicable to ordinary knowledge and everybody experience. So logical structure of a sentence. A sentence is a group of words that is arranged in a certain way. So there are four conditions of structure of sentence. First is Akansha, Yogyata, Sanidhi, and Tatpanya. So Akansha is the expectancy. So quality of the words of a sentence by which they expect or imply to another. So when we say something, we have to like, what are we expecting the hearer to conceive? And like, it's all about the quality of words or sentence we are saying. And yogyata or mutual fitness, it is considering the absence of contradiction. Like when we say something, a sentence, there should not be contradiction between words we mention in the sentence. So, for example, like moisten with fire or something, it's contradictory. So we can't use that kind of thing in a valid like sentence. And next, sanidhi, or and also called asati, proximity. Like words must be continuous with one another in time and space. Like if you are speaking or saying something, it should be continuous. At the same time, it should not be very fast or something so that the hearer won't understand or can't understand what I am trying to say. And last, they have the tatparya or intended to be conveyed, the theme of what we are writing or saying. So when I say something or when I'm writing something, there should be a theme that everyone should understand, or the hearer or the reader should know the theme and all. So conclusion, like for Nyaya philosophy, there is some valid means of knowledge for epistemology, and then recognition of various pramanas, source of knowledge that I have already discussed, and integration of direct perception, inference, and testimony. Practical application like guidance in discerning valid knowledge source, relevant and continuous, relevant and modern epistemological discussion.